I'm a private person. I'm in the business of public disclosure, and yet I keep so much to myself. It's more by choice than habit, much like most things, I guess. A series of directions and decisions we choose to take and follow blindly. Some leading to light, others spiraling down into a dark tunnel with no end. Pitch black. Silence. I think too much. I feel broken at times. Could be from my breakup. Could just be from myself, my work, my mental health. Doesn't really matter. It's there. This is getting dark. Let's open the curtains a little bit. You know, I've been in love. God, have I been in love. Like that sucker punch to the gut, head over your heels deal that people always seem to talk about. Yeah, that. Grown into my literal present-day self by sharing me with everybody else. But here I sit in present day feeling like nobody even knows me. I'm edited, curated, calculated, and I've normalized that to the point that it really scares me. I think it's time I shared my insides, show you my light and hold your hand in my dark, take you to my highest highs and right down to my lowest lows. I want to show you that person. If my first book, A Work in Progress, was a reflection on my external life thus far, then this follow-up is a reflection on my internal life, right now. This is Note to Self. And this one's for me.
All right, hang on. Get it out one more time. Counter friend is here, everybody. Let's go.
So sweet. Oh my gosh. That's so great.
Connor.
How dramatic is my trailer? Oh my god. I haven't watched it since it came out and I'm like, oh my god, the drama.
It's good
like,
though.
Whoa.
Makes me want to read that book again. I'll tell you that.
There you go.
Congratulations.
Again.
Yeah, I had it. Yeah. So I really did dig the book, and congratulations on it. This is a huge deal, a big release, very exciting. But I want to start with, of course, the most important question. Your cat just turned 13. How's he doing? How's she doing?
Oh my God.
She holding up all right? Is she?
My mom sent me that picture last night, and I'm like, my life means nothing right now. It's all about her.
Isn't that crazy though? Like, have you had that cat in your life since you were, as long as you can remember, since she was a kitten?
Yeah.
It's weird, right?
We found her on the side of the road.
Oh.
Tragic story, but then we brought her in.
I was gonna say, yeah. Very sweet.
Yeah. Great ending. She was really mean too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's really
Tamed
nice
her over
now.
the years,
Yeah.
perhaps? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
age has done her well.
Isn't that weird though? How like that puts. Do you have one of those moments where you're like, the cat's 13, I'm old? Like, did it hit you? Like all of a sudden it became like it puts everything in perspective.
No,
When,
definitely. And like, how old is that in cat years?
I don't know. Is it the same as dog years? Do they multiply?
I-
Does anybody know that?
I have no
The cat
idea.
years, dog years, same thing.
I was like, who specializes in cat years here?
The general, I think it's the same thing. So from henceforth, we will all agree that it's the same thing. So 13.
Yeah.
She's a teenager.
She needs to retire.
Yeah.
Go to Hawaii.
That would be lovely.
Yeah, it would be.
I was at Hawaii not too long ago. Tons
Me
of
too.
cats. I was in
Really?
Oahu. Yeah.
I was
North
in
Shore.
Hawaii.
Oh yeah.
I don't think there were any cats. Lots of chickens.
Maybe it was just the resort we were at. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mine had no chickens, but tons of cats.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah.
I like your island better.
I want to talk to you, obviously, about the whole reason we're lucky enough to have you here, which is this book. This is, as you've said, a very different book from your last one. It's really very much a look inside, and it feels a lot like opening a diary and getting in there. Was that the concept from the beginning when you set out to make this book, or did it change over time as you were working on it and you realized that was the kind of book it was becoming?
Yeah, fun fact, I didn't even, for probably the first half of the book, I didn't intend to write a book. I was just writing literal notes to myself, and that's how I came up with the title. But I wrote like half of the book without intending to do it, and then I brought it to a publisher and was like, I think I'm writing a book, essentially, just to see if they like the idea. So I guess it shaped itself without me having to really do anything.
I love the idea of you walking into a publisher and then being like, what do you got? And you're like, I think it's a book.
Yeah, that's how I pretty much pitch anything.
This might be a book.
Well...
Well, let me ask you this. Is there a different kind, when you have a project this personal that's going out there to such a massive audience, is there a different kind of nervous when the subject matter is a little more introspective?
Yeah, and it's also weird because, at least for me, when I wrote this book, it's weird to think that now people can read it. I don't know why that's a weird concept to me, but last night I was freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, people are going to read it. That's so weird. Yeah, because obviously I've written it over the last 16 or 18 months, so it's kind of foreign to me at this point. It's interesting to look back on it, and that's kind of why I found it great to write. It's kind of like a time capsule of my emotions at the time.
Yeah, for sure. You get that vibe. It very much is like a moment in time as you're reading through it. There's so much of you in there. There's all these really honest, vulnerable passages. There's poems. There's a ton of photos. How did you decide like what was going on? You didn't even know you were making a book, I guess, right? So was there a decision process, or when it came time to put all these things together, was there stuff you didn't put in that you didn't?
Yeah, there was, I mean, sadly, there were a ton of poems and photos and stuff like that that didn't make the cut, more so just because it's 300 pages already, so I didn't want to make a dictionary. Or like a Lord of the Rings. Oh my God. The publisher would have been mad at me or something. Yeah, so many of those and like a couple chapters, but they didn't quite fit, frankly. They just weren't good. But most of the stuff I wanted made it in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Was there, I mean, since this is really this kind of book, it's more of like a stream of consciousness, and it's just thoughts that you're having working through a lot of things. I imagine there wasn't really any form of writer's block because you didn't realize you were working towards something. Or at a certain point, you must have knew after you pitched it, this is a book. Was it done, or did you keep working on it?
No, I kept working. I was about like halfway through it, but it was only like 6 months into, like it was, so I had plenty of time left. I had no idea when I was going to finish it. So yeah, it just kind of shaped itself over time.
Do you have a trick? Because you are a writer outside of just writing this book. You write all the time. Obviously, it's why this exists. But I mean, like, is there a trick or anything you have when you confront a version of writer's block, or you're feeling kind of stunted in terms of a creative direction?
Yeah, I mean, the way I like to approach writing is that I write about what I'm feeling in that very moment. I think that's why this book kind of speaks really clearly, at least to myself when I was writing, because everything was written in the heat of the moment at like a very heightened emotion, whether it was fear, sadness, nostalgia, just some sort of heightened feeling. I would write about it then and there to capture it very vividly, which is kind of the difference between this first book and my last book. The last one was a lot of looking back and trying to remember how I felt. So I guess if I got writer's block, I would usually just skip and go on to something else or just wait for another day. Yeah, I tried not to fake it, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it feels very authentic, and it feels like you get that sense that you're sort of, as a reader, going through these moments with you as you're experiencing them, sometimes just figuring it out as you're writing it, which is excellent.
There are several chapters where I'm like, I don't even know what I'm writing about now, but this is what it is.
Well, it makes the book very exciting, as well as heavy because of all the stuff that you're dealing with and very real. I was wondering, because you do go through a lot of really heavy, really honest parts within this book, does that make the editing process difficult, or even this process where you have to go around and talk about all these moments and relive all these things that you wrote to release?
I was saying it backstage. I'm like, the part I didn't think about is writing a really sad book is all the conversations about it later are going to be really sad. Yeah. All of the interviews I've had today, they're so down, and I'm like, I'm pretty up right now. Let's like keep it back up. That was me like a year ago. Let's calm down.
Well, for sure, and that was one of the challenges going in, because I knew there were so many things. I was like, I don't want to drag him back through this, but I'm fascinated by it.
I know, and I felt that way even just in the editing process, because you, for writing books, you write again, rewrite, edit, reread. Like the amount of times I've read these chapters is ridiculous, and I just like the words don't even make sense anymore. But yeah, just like constantly reliving each thing is really hard. And doing the audiobook where I had to read it.
Oh man, you did the audiobook.
I had to read it aloud to like two strange men in a
that's
booth, and I
brutal.
was like, they know all my secrets.
Oh my God. I see a lot of copies in the room. Have you guys had an opportunity to read through most of it yet? Yeah?
Sweet.
Yes. So then you all can
God.
fully appreciate how brutal a moment it is for you to have to sit there and reread some of
Yeah,
this
it's-
into it. Oh man.
And just a lot of burping. During audiobooks, like you burp a lot, and I think it's just because you're talking a lot. And they said, my guy was like, he's like, yeah, the amount of burp takes I have from famous celebrities like Meryl Streep, the amount of burp takes I have from her is amazing. And I'm like, I love that.
My immediate thought is that must be worth a lot of money. But my immediate follow-up is, no, that's weird. Why would that be worth anything? Who wants to hear that?
I would oddly like get off and I'd be like, that's so cool.
Yeah, right? Isn't that where your brain immediately goes? It's like, I want to hear 2 hours of Meryl Streep burping while reading her book. It's like, and then you think about it and you're like, I don't know, do I really want to hear that? I don't know. I think
I do.
I think I do, right? Yeah. I want to at least hear 30 seconds before I make a fully informed opinion.
Her burp can win a Grammy.
I think. No doubt. Well, I want to talk. Look, the book. You're right. There are definitely some sad parts, and I'm sure you've had to rehash those and bring them up, not only in the audiobook, but in these talks. But there's also a lot of really just awesome tidbits of advice and little discoveries and things that you kind of drop in along the way that I think are super helpful and really great. I wanted to talk to you about early on in the book. You talk about sort of shutting off and disconnecting, just being present in a moment.
It's ironic, right?
I was going to say, like, being you and being who you are, and so much of your creativity comes from sharing in all this technology. Do you struggle, even though you know how great it is to shut off, do you struggle and force yourself to do it?
It's really hard to turn off your phone. It's really hard to be in like a public situation where you're by yourself and to not go on your phone. It's really, really difficult. It's become such a habit for me especially. So I try my best to do it. Or I guess my rule of thumb is if I'm with other people especially, I shouldn't be on my phone because people are right in front of me. I don't need to interact with people that aren't in front of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really difficult. And I think it's going to continue to get more difficult, which is scary.
Oh yeah, it's only getting way more impossible.
Only getting worse. The disease is spreading.
But I think to that end, that's why it was really great to see in your book an entire passage about how we need to take time for ourselves and think about ourselves and put ourselves forward and disconnect every once in a while.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about just a little bit about London because it seems like a really important part of your life, that trip.
It was,
a transformative experience. What were you hoping to accomplish when you got out there, and why London?
It was, that was my, so I don't remember where, I know I was in New York before it, but I randomly decided to go visit friends in London, but I just wanted to like run away, which is another chapter, and be by myself kind of, which I'm glad I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that, frankly. But so I did that, and it was like my first trip solo, and I had no purpose and no intention of what was gonna happen, but for some reason, because I went by myself, and I made so many new friends. I made like friends with this good group of people there. There's like 6 of them.
How'd you make friends with?
So they were
6
friends
people?
of friends that like my friends set me up with their friends, and I had such a good time with them. We got like wasted and and made, what did we make? Thai food. Either way, it was amazing. It was so fun, and I've never really done that before. So it was getting out of my comfort zone. So coming back from that, I just felt like it's like, okay, I can be an individual. This is cool. I can do that.
About how long were you out there for?
I was there for 7 to 10 days, maybe.
7 to 10 days.
Yeah, it's not super long, but enough, I guess, to have
So like an epiphany. Yeah. I was like, that's the perfect word for this.
Yeah. So every time I go back, I kind of get that feeling again.
Yeah, is it kind of like almost like a revitalization?
Yeah, it's this
like,
weird feeling of like wonder with London. I don't know what it is exactly.
This is gonna be a silly question, but do you think you can pinpoint? Because you think of 7 to 10 days as all it took for you to kind of find this place, right?
Yeah.
So then, if you want to get really granular and like look at those 7 to 10 days, could you figure out what moment you started to shift, or is it one of those things where you just woke up one day and was like, oh, I'm starting to feel better about all this around me right now?
Not
I know that's
really.
a weird thing to find.
Yeah, because I mean, like, my mood was affected for many different reasons. So being something with mental health, it like shifts up and down without you controlling it. Kind of like you turn a corner and it's like, boo, I'm there. And you're like, ugh. But yeah, so it definitely was something that I couldn't necessarily control, but I could figure out how to deal with and handle. So there wasn't an exact time that I learned how to do that, but over time, it was kind of like a habit. I just got better at it.
Sure. Is it more of like strengthening a muscle?
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah.
Totally.
Do you think that had you traveled anywhere else in the world, you could have had a similar experience? Or do you think there's something wholly unique and special about London and that time and that place?
As much as I would like to say that, no, I think it just happened to be the right time and the right place with the right situations, the right people, and I'll stop now. But yeah, I think it could have happened anywhere.
You have another great passage where you talk about how people sort of tend to isolate themselves within their emotions and say, like, you know, no one understands, like, my sadness or my jealousy and stuff like that. But the funny part is that these emotions that we think nobody else understands are actually the connective tissue that we all kind of share and can be common ground for all of us. Do you remember what led to that realization, if it was something that came with age or something you discovered along your path?
No, I think it was just a sudden epiphany again that I was just like, it's so weird that I feel so alone, and yet everyone knows what this feeling feels like, just from a different situation. And then from that moment on, I was like, oh my God, I'm not alone, or I should really talk to people about this because I bet they can relate in some way. So yeah, I think that was like a huge turning point for me. Yeah. And I remember being so excited about it. I like called my editors. I'm like, I have such a good idea for a chapter. It's happening right now, guys.
I am in the middle of a chapter as we speak.
I know, seriously. And that was the best part, is when I would have like little moments like that, I would immediately get so excited to write it down and record what that experience was like. Yeah.
You talk a lot about the importance and the significance of discovering, like, having a professional to talk to every once in a while, and like having someone to sort of throw your ideas against and throw your thoughts against and help you sort through everything that's inside. And the importance of that person, not to discredit them at all, but do you think over the years of doing your videos and all the things that you've accumulated all these fans throughout doing, have you ever thought of that as a version of therapy, as a therapeutic process where you get to talk openly and honestly to this huge supportive community?
Definitely. One of my things is I always like want to like interrupt him, like, but yeah, no.
Dude, cut it off.
I
It's
always
all
like,
good. You can
I
interrupt.
find myself, my jaw dropping, because I'm like, yeah, no, I definitely think having an audience is such a form of therapy. It's something that I feel so blessed to have, frankly, to be able to go on Twitter at 2 a.m. and just like someone somewhere around the world is up and wanting to communicate in some way. It's amazing. And to be a young person too, and to be able to have that voice and that influence is such a blessing. Yeah. I feel very fortunate to have that. So it's definitely a form of therapy, but I definitely think a professional,
of course,
is great.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not saying it's a replacement, nor am I recommending everybody go out and get a worldwide audience and talk to them instead. That's way more difficult to achieve.
Save the money.
Yeah. But that's actually a really fascinating point. I never thought of it that way, of having this global community, is that literally at 2 a.m, wherever you are, someone somewhere around the world is available for you to talk to. Did that blow your mind the first time you realized it? And you're like, oh my God, somebody's up.
No, yeah, no, it's awesome. It's, yeah, I don't even know how I would, it's just become a thing.
Yeah, now it's
that is like, yeah, it's totally normalized. I've had it for like, not 6 years, but like 4 to 5 years. It's such a normal thing for me.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. So another thing that you talked about that I really loved was everyone who wants to be noticed, and you do a lot. We said earlier, oh, it's like such a sad book, but again, it's not. There's a lot of really great positive messages in here, and talking about people just want to be noticed, and how you encourage everyone to go out there, and even if it's a total stranger, just notice something and say something nice. And I was wondering, do you think there's a weird crossed wire in our brain, and that's kind of like why everyone wants to go viral, or kind of wants a bunch of like they want to be noticed too? Do you think there's something somewhere along the lines that got like crossed over?
No, I think that's always been a thing. I think no matter what direction you are going in life, I think you want to be highlighted for whatever it is that you're doing. If you're a teacher, you want to be highlighted by your students that you're doing a great job at teaching. If you're an artist, you want people to see your art. So I think in some form, everyone wants to be noticed or highlighted, even if it's just on like a small scale. But yeah, no, I don't know why it was a weird thing for me, but I think it was just like a lack of confidence and some social anxiety that I didn't want to like compliment people or talk to strangers in public. But as soon as I did it, I found it was awesome.
Liberating.
Yeah, no, but it's fun too. It's you like make friends accidentally by doing it.
It's a great way to make friends. Just say nice things to people. We're going to turn it over in just a couple of minutes to audience Q&A, so get your questions ready if you haven't had a second yet. Get the wheel spinning. We'll start passing some mics around. You speak very openly and very honestly about everything that you've gone through in the past 18 months or so, or however long it's been.
Days.
Yeah.
Who knows? Hours.
Yeah, always. You've
time.
always been that kind of person, right? That's always been you, is this authentic person that just keeps it real and tells us what's going on and walks us through everything. Some of the stuff does get really intense. What motivated you to write as deep as you went and to go as deep as you went on yourself in this particular book, and what kept you going when you were writing these really heavy bits?
I think it ended up being all about what the book was, because the book is dedicated to myself, which I swear I'm not a narcissist, but maybe a little bit, but
A very healthy one, though, because you explore that a little bit.
but I felt like I was doing it for myself, first and foremost, and I was doing it as a form of therapy in its own, just for cathartic reasons, to relieve it from my mind and put it on paper. And then after a while, it was the whole emotion thing that I'm like, oh, no one has gone through this experience like me, but people have gone through things that they probably have felt similar things, so hopefully they can relate to it in some way.
For sure. Well, I think
Buzzword, relatable.
the last question I'm going to ask before we head over to audience Q&A is that in your final letter to your future self, one of the promises you make is to ensure that there is an absence of complete harmony as you move forward. Why is that, and how's that going so far?
I don't like the idea of everything being okay and everything being like easy and I guess the same every day, and it like you turn the corner and it's exactly what you expected. I kind of want that little bit of chaos. I kind of want that little indecision about like what's happening next. I feel like that drives me and keeps me going, and keeps me pushing myself, frankly. So I never want everything just to be perfect and easy and the same every day.
That makes a lot of sense. We had, Mandy Patinkin was here. He did the voice of Papa Smurf in the recent Smurf movie. He was Diego Montoya and Princess Bride. Yes, shout out to the Smurf movie, by the way. All right, yeah, no, it was a good movie. So totally warranted. So anyway, but he dude's brilliant. He's been in the industry for years, but he was saying like people are so afraid of failure and so afraid of messing up. Whereas
you have to mess up before you can succeed.
It's where you learn. It's where you figure out who you are. It's where you find out what you're made of. And it sort of reminded me of that and saying I don't want complete harmony. I want chaos. I want to learn about myself. I want to figure things out.
No,
Look, man, before I give it to the audience one more time, I know all of you seem to have this book already, but for those out there that don't have it yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Go pick it up. It's available today. Note to self. We're going to turn it on. Yes, literally. I don't know if we're catching that on camera, but literally everyone here has this book. It's amazing. So with that, I'm going to shut up and let you guys ask your questions. Let's go ahead and take the first one right here.
So, hi, I'm Sam, and I just wanted to know what inspired the overall aesthetic of the book?
Oh, I don't know. You guys know that's so important to me. I spent almost as much time. Oh, thank you. Shout out to my Instagram feed. I spend almost as much time on how the book looks as the actual words. I'm really ridiculously picky. So I don't know. I mean, like the image itself is a metaphor, and you can kind of get whatever you want out of it. But I spent weeks trying to find this font and trying to find the right combinations of font, and if you wanted caps. So I don't know. It looked right after a while. And I got to work with this cool guy named Sam Burgess-Johnson, who designed the 1975 artwork, which was... It was a fantastic experience. He's a total genius. So to have his mind to bounce things off of was awesome.
Very cool. Next question is back here.
I was like, where?
I'm Selena. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Oh yeah.
Me.
Where do you see yourself as a publisher? And you are very cute.
What do you mean exactly? Where do I see myself?
Like in the near future, where do you see yourself as a publisher? Do you see yourself making more books?
Got
maybe
you.
a movie
I was
about
like,
it?
I'm like a publisher.
A person
yeah.
produces
A person, yeah.
publishing art.
I mean, like, I've enjoyed writing books, but I never want to just write a book because someone tells me to. Right after I wrote my first book, it was immediately like, so where's the second one? I'm like, calm down. I don't even know what I would write about. So I never want to do that just because someone tells me to. And the same thing with anything that I create. I never want someone to force me to create anything. So there'll probably be some form of book, I feel like, in my future, whether that's 10 years or 2 years, I don't know. But yeah, even just like clothing, more videos, lots of things. You're very cute. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Sweet.
I believe we have time for just one more. We have time for one more question right here.
Hi, I'm Kate.
Hello.
My question is, if your whole family had YouTube channels, who do you think would have the most subscribers?
That's a really good question.
That's a great one, yeah.
Oh my gosh, let me think here. See, ooh, oh my god, yeah, my cats and my plants. They just win. Pre would win. I feel like my dad would be incredibly consistent and weird. I don't know, he'd just be posting weird daily vlogs. My sister would be such a professional because she's a chef, so she would make. So I feel like she would be the most successful because she has the most YouTube-y like job interest. Because she runs marathons and she cooks things. So she'd be a great lifestyle human. So probably Nicola. Dustin would hate it. My older brother would absolutely hate it. Yeah, Brandon probably would hate it too.
Yeah.
He just like retweets people on Twitter. That's it. I'm like, okay.
Thanks.
Well, look, we could do this all day. Regrettably, we're out of time, and I have to let you go. I want to thank you and congratulate you. The book's fantastic.
Thank you.
Obviously, for all those at home who don't have one yet, go out and get a copy. Note to self, you will not regret it. It is a fantastic read. One more time, everyone join me in thanking Connor Franta.